for example, because of competition from digital platforms. So media are also realizing that good public interest journalism can also sustain a media house, not necessarily advertising, not necessarily. When we treat news as a product for sale only, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
That journalism is not, as it were, it's not that profit-oriented thinking, that there are some stories you must do here which have no profit. I mean, if you looked at every story in terms of how much money it brings to this station, you'll close this station down. It's not sustainable. There are stories you must just do for public interest. There's an accident, the president's addressing the nation. You know, you can't say there's no advert, State House brought here will not cover it. So the model of just looking at every story in terms of advertising can never work. But you will see a lot of your good stories that your journalists just go out in public interest about climate change, food insecurity, health, sometimes also attract readers. And once they attract those audiences, sometimes they maintain you here by way of how you are using the subscription model and other things. So media houses must also move away from one approach to business. That every story, I was talking to the MD, Mwenda Njoka, the other day when we were launching your studio here.
Yeah.
And the discussion is that partnerships are also helping. And TV47, for example, can work with a climate change organization, climate change activists, to do stories around climate change that still also will attract yourself resources by the way of partnership, not necessarily advertising. So we just need to be aware, because you can't run away from climate change. As people are looking at it previously, was just about weather and climate, but climate change is a cross-cutting matter. It affects health, it affects transport, it affects food security, it affects almost all types, it affects your dressing and everything. So it's not a topic you can say a few people listen. It's everybody's business. Yeah. There's the politics of climate change, for example. When Trump, for example, says they are not giving, they are not honoring the commitments they made, it's a political story. When, for example, and there's also accountability issues. There's a lot of money coming to climate change. Following up how the trail of that, how money, accountability, how that money is being used by national government, by counties, it's a big economic story. So it's we the journalists who must get climate change is even in sports. You have seen because of climate, football being some matches being pushed because the match could not go on. So that's the way we journalists look at how we package. Do you want to give the climate change a health angle, a food security angle, a political angle, and an economic angle? And we move on.
Still on the matter of training, and you've mentioned something quite interesting, that a lot of money is being put towards climate change. And would you say that we should now incorporate climate reporting into journalism schools as compulsory now, in order to just ensure that journalists are not thrown into climate reporting, or they go there because there's a lot of money here and they're going to get maybe money from it?
We might not make it compulsory because, for example, in most of the universities, their programs are approved by the Commission for Higher Education and their Senate. I mean, but a lot of institutions, for example, the Media Council of Kenya and FAO and National Treasury, we have developed a curriculum on climate change reporting. I know we have done some trainings for journalists on climate changing. I know Kenya Editors Guild have done some work on training journalists on climate changing. And what our newsrooms ought to be doing also, I know there are some universities that have adopted climate change as a topic. You know, in many of our universities, specialization is a challenge. I mean, we are trained as general journalists. But now at a private, and there are so many courses online, free online on climate reporting that journalists who are interested can do. So it's also about us as journalists. What is this public interest thing that is now affecting our communities? When COVID-19 was an issue, everybody became, you also reported on COVID because it was no longer now health reporters alone. Why aren't we treating climate change as such that it affects everybody? How many, for example, Monday to Friday guests do you bring to the studio to talk about